Hello, world history. Welcome to Unit 15. So, this is about World War One and World War Two, but today we're just going to talk about World War One. Your job, you're going to watch this Ed puzzle, answer the questions. Questions that are in blue text are going to be questions I want you to answer directly in the Ed puzzle. Make sure you're following along with your study guide because anything in red text will be an important concept. And of course, if you have questions, please let us know. We are here to help you. Learning targets describe the social, political, and economic causes and consequences of World War One. So here is a map of Unit 15. So you're probably thinking, like, wait a minute, last unit was Unit 13, and now this is Unit 15. What happened to Unit 14? Excellent question. So, in the past, I had Unit 14 being the essay writing unit, where students would write an essay, but this year I'm like, I don't really want to do essays. So, instead, we're going to do Unit 16, which is the Modernish Events unit. So, that's going to be the unit right after this unit. So, I call it Modernish Events because they're kind of modern. So, I'm kind of talking about anything after World War II into the present day. You're going to do a little research project about it. That'll take us to the end of the school year. I'll give you more details as I'm making it. I haven't actually created it all the way yet. So let's focus on Unit 15 for now. So here's the calendar of everything that we're going to do. So right now we are in this week. So we have Unit 15 Study Guide Part 1. So please note that there are two study guides for this unit. So Study Guide Part 1 will be due on April 27th. There's also a Part 2, which is for next week, and that will be due May 11th. So that's the end of the unit, by the way. Part 1 focuses on World War One. Part 2 focuses on World War II stuff. So we have causes of World War One reading a quiz. You do that before this video. Then we have this video here. This is basics of World War One, Part 1. We also have Part 2 and Part 3. Those are all ed puzzles I make, so you could listen to my voice. Then we have U15-L3, Diary of a War Nurse reading and quiz. So that is our primary source reading about a female nurse who, like, in all the horrors that she had to witness during World War One. Then we have the World War One video choice. Y'all have been with us for long enough that you probably know what a video choice is. Then we have the study guide part 2. We have basics of World War II part 1. That's another one of my Ed Puzzle videos. Then we have basics of World War II part 2. Then we have World War II Japan part 1 as well as part 2. So the thing with World War II, it's really, it's not, I don't want to say it's split, but there is a separation between, like, the European side of the war and the Pacific side of the war. So we have, like, Japan sometimes is just easier to talk about in a separate slideshow, but of course we'll connect Japan and Europe together. Then we have basics of World War II Part 3. Then we have the Holocaust in Today. That's a video that I'm going to have you watch, kind of going through interviews of people who survived the Holocaust. Of course, some of those people are still alive today. Then we have The Book Thief. So that was the movie that I had y'all vote for. So The Book Thief was the winner. As you can see here, I split up the movie into 30-minute chunks. I'll give you more details as we get closer to watching that movie. Then we have World War II North Africa. Honestly, I don't know much about North Africa during World War II. I know it's important. There's a big role in it. So I just found this History Channel video about World War II North Africa. It's not a very long video, so don't be sad about it. Okay. Then we have the World War II video choice. Then we have Raiders of the Lost Art, The Monument Men Part 1, Part 2. That is a video about how some soldiers were sent to go and find art that was stolen by the Nazis. There's actually a Hollywood movie called The Monuments Men. I think Matt Damon's in it. I'm not 100% sure. This is more the documentary of it. Then we have the Unit 15 test, which is just kind of your plain old multiple choice test. Nothing fancy. And that wraps up Unit 15. So if you have any questions about Unit 15 at all, just email us to let us know. So let's start with today's slideshow. So what do you know about World War One? And you should know something from the U15-L2 reading at least. So we know that World War One was primarily in Europe. We'll talk about how Asia also had kind of its little moment in World War One as well. But this is a map of Europe in the 1800s. I like to start with this map because we kind of have to look back into the 1800s to really understand why World War One started. So you will see that this map is fairly similar to what like a modern day Europe map looks like, but there are some big differences, such as the German Empire. So Germany today kind of stops like right about here. So you'll see that Germany is very big during the 1800s compared to today. Same thing with Austria-Hungary. So Austria-Hungary today is split into Austria and Hungary, but back in the 1800s, they were one country. You'll also see this down here. This is the Ottoman Empire. This is a very important empire that we never talked about in this class. So pretty much what the Ottoman Empire was this massive empire. It was an Islamic empire. It controlled most of like what is North Africa, parts of the Middle East, and then parts of Europe as well. It lasted from about 1299 until the early 1900s. So we'll talk about them just very briefly. Sorry, I didn't talk about them otherwise. So tensions in Europe. So due to imperialism, which we talked all about in Unit 13, countries were fighting for colonies. And such tensions were to get the best or the most colonies that each European country could. So it was a battle between countries to get the most land. And to win this battle, countries would have to have the best weapons and the best army. This led to a big innovation in weapons and warfare, which led to something called an arms race, which pretty much means that a country is trying to innovate to get the best weapons. So the arms race then led to something called militarism. So militarism is when a country has a large army ready for war at any time. So you can see here in this picture, this is one of the German chancellors and he's inspecting his army. So Germany, Great Britain, Austria-Hungary, Italy, France, Ottoman Empire, and Russia all had militarism by the early 1900s, which meant they had huge armies. Now, they had these giant armies ready to fight on standby. All they needed now was just a reason to fight. So Prussia's chancellor, Otto von Bismarck, who is this dude right here, he unified all of Germany in 1871. So this is a map of Germany and what it looks like in 1871. So it's all this area right here. So Bismarck was kind of a unique leader of his time. He had some different thoughts because he did not want to grow Germany's borders any bigger than they were. He was very satisfied with how big Germany was, just the way it was. So Bismarck used his leadership to bring peace to Europe. He believed France was the least peaceful out of all those countries. So remember, France is right here, and they share a border between France and Germany. And he also thought that the French wanted revenge on this Prussia-Germany war because they lost this Franco-Prussia war back in like the year before, back in the 1870s, that we did not talk about in this class. Because if we talked about every single war that happened in Europe, we would be here a long time. So, to stop France from seeking revenge, Bismarck wanted to politically isolate France. So, he wanted to become allies with all the other countries that were surrounding France. So, that way, France had no neighboring allies, which meant that France couldn't go to war. Because if France didn't have any allies, they pretty much would be a death sentence for France because they would lose big time. So again, here's a map of Europe in the 1800s. As you can see, here's Germany again. They do share a border with France. There's some other countries around here as well. So Germany wanted to be allies with like the Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, Great Britain. So France would not have any allies. So Bismarck was able to become allies with Italy and Austria-Hungary. So Italy, Austria-Hungary, and Germany became known as the Triple Alliance. So you can see on the map here, all the stuff in red. So in 1888, Kaiser Wilhelm II becomes the leader of Germany. And unlike his predecessor Bismarck, he is very, very different. He is very power hungry. He forces Bismarck to resign from politics. And unlike Bismarck, he wanted to expand Germany and to not maintain peace. And he also wanted to show off Germany's super cool army. So Russia saw that Germany's military strength was really strong. So in response, Russia decides to make an alliance with France because France and Germany hate each other. So Russia's like, Well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, so I'm going to make allies with France. So, looking at this map, why would Germany not want to fight a war against France and Russia at the same time? Yeah, we'll see this happen during World War II as well. But Germany would not want to fight two fronts of the war. So, as you can see, France and Russia sandwiched Germany. So, Germany is right in the middle of the two. And for Germany to fight two different sides, so the east side and the west side, would be extremely difficult. So Kaiser Wilhelm II is also focused on building a very strong navy. So at this time, the strongest navy in Europe would be Great Britain, and they want a navy to rival Great Britain's. Okay, so one thing too, as we go through all of these slides for World War One and World War II, you will see that I have shortened Great Britain to GB. So if you're ever like, oh my God, what the heck is GB? GB means Great Britain. I might also use like England or the United Kingdom or just Britain or something like that. Just know that they all mean the same thing in the context that I'm talking about. But typically I stick pretty close and just call it Great Britain or GB. So just FYI. So Great Britain saw that Germany was building up their navy and their army. So they're like, oh snap, Germany is up to something. So Great Britain decides to become allies with France and Russia and to help protect against the potential German invasion. So Great Britain, Russia, and France became known as the Triple Entente. So Entente is French for understanding. So here are two sides for now of the alliance between all these European countries. So on the Triple Alliance, we have Germany, Austria Hungary, and Italy. So all the countries in red. The Triple Entente is France, Russia, and Great Britain. All right, next we're going to talk about the Balkans. So the Balkans is this area of Europe that's important. It's still important today because it's really kind of the pathway between Europe and the Middle East. As you can see here, like Turkey's right here. Also, it has the Black Sea as well as the Mediterranean Sea. So here is a zoomed in map of what the Balkans look like today. So these are modern day borders. So you can see here that it includes a bunch of little kind of countries, including like Greece, Romania, Serbia. We'll talk about Serbia a lot. So going back to that Ottoman Empire that I said that we never really talked about. So the Ottoman Empire lasted from 1299 to 1919. Wow, that is a really long time for an empire to last. So you can see here on this map, the Ottoman Empire actually controlled a lot of the Balkans. So anything right here, kind of in this zigzaggy, or not zigzag line, but kind of crossed out line here, would belong to the Ottoman Empire during the early 1900s. So in the Balkans, it is the southeastern part of Europe. It is the border of the Middle East, and it's under the rule of the Ottoman Empire since 1299. And again, the Ottoman Empire is an Islamic empire. So there is a mix of different languages, religions, and other cultural aspects. So the Balkans included nations like Bulgaria, Greece, Montenegro, Romania, and Serbia. It also bordered Russia as well as Austria-Hungary. It was also a waterway of the Black Sea as well as the Mediterranean Sea. So, due to high tensions to the powerful surrounding armies, there was a mix of religions, the route to the Middle East, and also important waterways. The Ottoman Empire, which ruled it, was slowly dissolving by by the early 1900s. So the other European countries saw this. They're like, oh my gosh, the Ottoman Empire is going away. We should go and grab up any of the land that we possibly can. So Russia, Austria, Hungary, and Serbia were all trying to conquer the most Ottoman land as possible. So here's a map of the Ottoman Empire at its height. So this is in 1566. So you can see that it has a big chunk of Europe going down here into Turkey, parts of the Middle East, as well as parts of Egypt and other parts of North Africa as well. So Serbia, which is this land right here, they really wanted to unite the majority of the Balkans together and become one big country. So most people living in the Balkans identified as Slavs or the Slavic people. So Serbia's main goal was to make a unified Slavic country. So Austria-Hungary which is right up here and borders on the north of Serbia, really wanted the Balkans for themselves. Russia, which is off right over here, was really mad at Austria-Hungary for interfering with Serbia. So Russia, which is considered a Slavic country, supported a unified Slavic country. So they supported Serbia's mission to unify everyone under one country. So in 1908, Austria-Hungary takes over Bosnia. So Bosnia is this little chunk of land right here. So Bosnia is mostly Slavic people. Serbia was really mad. They're like, WTF, Austria-Hungary. Bosnian people are Slavs, not Austrians. We want our land back. So Serbia took revenge on Austria-Hungary. So the heir to the Austria-Hungary throne was this dude right here. His name was Archduke Franz Ferdinand. On June 28th, in 1914, Ferdinand and his wife Sophie, which is right here, went to visit Sarajevo. So Sarajevo was the capital of Bosnia, which was Austria-Hungary's newly acquired land. Some of the people there were not happy about this, including this dude right here, who is 19-year-old Serbian Gavrilo Princip, who shot Ferdinand and Sophie point blank, killing them both. So Austria-Hungary is super duper mad at Serbia for killing Ferdinand. So Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia on July 28th, 1914. So when one country goes to war, its allies also go to war. So I won't have you answer this in the Edpuzzle, but I'll just have you think that in your mind. So who else did I say was Serbia's allies? And who was Austria-Hungary's allies? I know, it's a little confusing. A lot of countries going on right now. So Austria-Hungary, right? They're right here. Their allies are Germany and Italy. Then we have Serbia, okay? So Serbia's allies are Russia, and Russia is also allies with France and allies with Great Britain as well. So that really creates the two factions of Europe. So we have the Triple Alliance again with Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, and the Triple Entente with France, Russia, Great Britain, and Serbia. So really, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand really sparks the start of World War I. But to make it even more confusing on you, there are name changes of the two teams of the war. So the Triple Alliance, which was Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, now changed their name to be the Central Powers. Due to their location in Central Europe, I mean, it makes sense, I guess, right? So anything here, Central Powers would be in that yellow color. Then we have Triple Entente, which was Russia, France, Great Britain, and Serbia. They changed their name to just be the Allies. So they're going to be in the green countries here. So, quiz time. The name change is really confusing. So here's a quick quiz to make sure you're keeping up. The Central Powers include what countries? Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. And what countries are the Allies? They're going to be Great Britain, Russia, Serbia, and France. But wait, it gets even more confusing. So Italy is really, really mad at Germany and Austria for starting World War I without Italy's consent. So as revenge, Italy decides to switch sides. So they leave the Central Powers and they join the Allies in April of 1915. So now Italy is a part of the Allies with France, Great Britain, Russia, and Serbia. So let's make it even more confusing. Let's throw in Asia. So Japan also joins the Allies. You're like, what the heck? Why would Japan care? Japan's like way over there. We're talking about Europe. That's right, but it all has to do with imperialism. So Japan wanted to spread its imperialism to China. So you see Japan right here. China, of course, is next door. Japan really wanted to gain control of Germany's territory in China, which Germany didn't have much territory in China. It's just kind of this blue little area right here, but you can see it's pretty close to Japan. So here are the sides of World War I in 1915. So we have the Allies, which is Great Britain, Russia, France, Italy, Japan, and Serbia. Of course, Serbia played a really big role in the start of World War One, but they have such a small military that they really aren't super relevant to the fighting. Then we have Central Powers, which is Germany, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, Ottoman Empire, or at least what's left of the Ottoman Empire as it's kind of crumbling away. And to make it even more delightful, the US hasn't even entered the war yet. So we have a lot more story to go. So I'll kind of leave you right here for a second, just looking at this map of the size of World War One. All right, let's look ahead on World War One. So World War One was not known as World War One during that time period. It was only called that once World War II broke out in 1939. People would call it the Great War or the War to End All Wars. And World War I lasted from July 28th, 1914 to November 11th, 1918. So World War I would become known as a total war. A total war is when a country devotes all of its resources to the war effort. And manufacturing goes from domestic products, such as cars, radios, appliances, things like that, to making war supplies. World War I would also have any able-bodied worker who would work in a factory or some way to support war effort. That include women. So women would start going into the factories. We'll talk about that during World War II as well, but also to do like saving programs like buying bonds and stamps and stuff like that. And then drafts from male soldiers would go to war. So today we talked about militarism, Triple Alliance, Central Powers, Kaiser Wilhelm, the second, Triple Entente, which would turn into the Allies, and Total War. Next up, you're going to do U15-L3, Basics of World War I, Part 2 Ed Puzzle. Keep filling out your study guide. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, or want to learn more, please let us know. We are happy to help. Thanks for watching. Bye.